Do you have any gossip on this, Emily, from any of your friends on the Hill? I hate government shutdowns. I hate when they close the zoos. I think it's bad. I do. I hate those pictures of like kids trying to see pandas and they can't get in. Like, I don't think anything's accomplished. If you and I don't want to go to work, we can't just shut down our companies. Um, any thoughts on this and any gossip you can share, Emily?
Okay, so first thought is I think it's incredibly impressive that Speaker Johnson was able to pass a CR with only Republican votes. I have worked in politics for decades and I cannot remember the last time that happened. We got one bonus Democrat, but he didn't need him to pass the bill. So, like, it's very impressive. Most of these guys all said they would never vote for CRs ever and then flipped after
Okay,
pressure
for the
from
normies listening, what is a CR?
continuing resolution. So it basically means you take the level of government funding that we had all of last year and you just keep it going. You don't change anything. You don't move anything up. You don't move anything down. It's not the best way to do business. It's not the best way to fund the government, but oftentimes it is the only way you can get past when you have frankly gotten to a stalemate in those sort of four corners, which is like House Democrats, House Republicans, Senate Democrats. They're all supposed to get together and come up with a bill. If you run out of gas on that four corners negotiation, the CR is usually the best way to move things forward and fund the government and keep it open. The thing that's spicy about this time around is that for years, we have heard Democrats say shutting down the government is the worst thing that could ever possibly happen. Republicans are insane for ever doing it. It's the worst choice in the world. And now all those same people flipped around and just voted to shut down the government. They voted for it almost as a universal block in the House. All but one Democrat voted to shut down the government. And now in the Senate, Chuck Schumer is saying they don't have the votes to pass this clean CR and they'll let the government shut down. So it's a real role reversal from what we usually see in DC.
Do we know who the one Democrat is?
It's Jared Golden from Maine, which doesn't surprise me at all because Jared Golden basically has to pretend to be a Republican to win re-election.
Billy, do you have thoughts on this? You probably love government shutdowns. You love it when children can't get into national parks. I'm just teasing. But, as a libertarian at Reason Magazine, I mean, Rand Paul is saying he's going to vote against it. I mean, how do you feel? I really
Okay,
hate government shutdowns. I really do.
I would just say my one strong opinion on this. I don't know if you guys saw that Rep. Thomas Massie voted
Massey
against
with
it.
Massey, y'all.
Yes, and I mean the one opinion I have really is that Trump, after Thomas Massie, who is a Republican but very libertarian leaning, Trump went on Truth Social, I think, and basically was like, this guy needs to be primaried for voting against my continuing resolution or whatever. I find it pretty unserious because Trump's pitched one of his core campaign promises, right, was slashing government spending, um, reining in the debt and deficit, and the CR would not do either of those things. I mean, over 10 years, I think they said it would be 19 trillion added to the debt.
Okay, but it's
And
not
I
a 10-year bill, so be fair about it. It's like a
Sure, but I think that Thomas Massie is very principled, and he's saying, I will vote in favor of something that at least tries to cut spending. I know your point actually is very well taken that the idea that Democrats are opposing this doesn't really make sense to me because they were fine with it, 30 seconds ago. But Thomas Massie has never been fine with these insane spending bills. He has been very consistent on this, despite Trump spreading lies to the contrary. And I just think it's kind of ironic that he would make that pitch to voters and then try to primary the one guy who's actually trying to, hold that accountable. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you can go back and look at all the votes that Thomas Massie has on these CR bills, and he's always been like, nah, I think the one he voted for was actually when McCarthy was speaker, and it had an 8% decrease in discretionary funding. I mean, he was like, okay, I can vote for that because at least we're trying. But otherwise, he's always voted no, and I respect it.
Yeah, I will say, like, fairness to Thomas Massie, he's very consistent. And I think that
Yeah.
he is what he is. He's always been this way, whether you like him or don't. In defense of President Trump and this sort of proposal to just do the CR and move on, the big money cuts are going to come from reconciliation. And the longer we screw around with the annual funding, which is only through September, the less time we have to move the really hard stuff that's going to actually bring down the debt and deficit, which is
Sure.
what we need to do in reconciliation. So the argument here is like, let's just clear the decks for right now on this one thing so we can focus on the big hard thing that's going to be really hard for us to do, that's going to really matter in that 10-year, 20-year spending arc.